bodi yake. Ndugu wakulima wenzangu, hamjambo? Hamjambo tena? Bas, mimi nataka nichukue nafasi hii kwanza niwakaribishe. Karibuni sana katika mkutano huu, mkiwa ni viongozi wa kampuni za KTDA kutoka sehemu mbalimbali na mkiwa pia wakulima. Karibuni sana. Nimepata nafasi mzuri wakati tulipanga na wizara kuhusu mambo yanayohusu mambo yenu ya KTDA, and especially on the subject of what happened to Chase Bank and Imperial Bank. And I'm very happy that today we are having this meeting so that we can share positive outcomes on what we always have wanted to do. Mimi nataka pia nichukue nafasi hii niwapongeze kama wakulima. Sehemu kubwa ya uchumi ya Kenya inachangiwa na kilimo. Pesa nyingi ambazo tunapata kutoka nje ya Kenya, foreign exchange, inatoka kutokana na mazao ya wakulima, na sehemu kiasi kikubwa inatoka kwa kilimo ya chai. Mimi nasema pongezi na nasema asante sana. Nimewasikiza kwa makini wale wote mliosema kwa niaba ya wakulima. Nimesikia mama ameongeza kwa sababu nyinyi pia ni wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya, na kama wananchi ni vizuri niwaeleze mambo yanayohusikana na nchi yenu ambayo ni nchi yetu. Because as Kenyans, we all have a contribution to make towards the country we want Kenya to be. And I'm very proud that this afternoon I have leaders from our tea sector to have this conversation with you on matters to do with tea, but also matters to do with our nation. Nawashukuru sana kwa kunipa nafasi ya kuwa kiongozi wa taifa letu la Kenya. It is not something I take for granted. Na katika nafasi hiyo tulikubaliana na nyinyi ya kwamba taifa letu la Kenya litaendeshwa sio kwa misingi ya kabila ama dini, taendeshwa kwa misingi ya sera. Yale mambo tulikubaliana, how we want to take the country forward. And I need to tell you, as citizens of our country, as Kenyans, not just as farmers, farming, as you all know, contributes close to 50% to our GDP. And therefore it is very important to us as a country, to us as government, that farming is given the attention that it deserves. When we went into the last election, we had come from a difficult moment of COVID and difficult situation, geopolitics, Ukraine and all the other things that were happening. And we all know that we were in a very difficult place. Especially our economy was in a very difficult place. In fact, it was expected that there will be 6 countries in Africa that will default in their foreign financial obligations, and one of them was Kenya. And therefore, when I got the opportunity to be a leader in this country, there was no way I was going to agree that our country would default. And it was so serious that hawa wabunge wenzangu hawa walikuwa na mkutano mahali hapo Masai Lodge, na rafiki yangu mmoja akawaeleza, ngojeni tu miezi 3 hivi 4, huyu mjamaa atatoroka, kwa sababu kitaumana, kwa sababu uchumi itasambaratika. But by God's grace, we made decisions that were necessary for us as a country. We reduced our budget. My first engagement with Parliament was to reduce our budget by 300 billion. We stopped the subsidies on unga. We stopped the subsidies on fuel. We cut down on our expenditure, because otherwise Kenya was going to default. In fact, we had the biggest ticket of $2 billion debt. And therefore, we had to take command and stabilize the economy of our country. Many people did not appreciate those difficult choices that we had to make. I can tell you today, as a result of the decisions we made, our inflation was at 9.6%. Our exchange rate was at 160 to the dollar, 165. Our foreign exchange reserves were at $5.9 billion, only 2.5 months cover. But today, I can stand before you as citizens of this nation we all love and tell you we have stabilized the economy of Kenya. Inflation, we have brought it down from 9.6 to 4.5. Exchange rate, we brought it from 165 to 129 to the dollar. Our foreign exchange reserves are now up from 5.7 to $11.8 billion, the highest in the history of Kenya. And because you follow current affairs, IMF 2 months ago released a report that said Kenya has now overtaken Ethiopia, has overtaken Angola. We are now the 6th largest economy in Africa. Because it was necessary, because without a firm foundation, economic foundation, it is not possible for us to build this nation. Number 2, you know very well that our agriculture was not doing well, especially our food security. And our import bill, ile pesa tunatumia kuagiza chakula kutoka nje, in 2022 was 504 billion Kenya shillings. Pesa tunaagiza mahindi, tunaagiza sukari, tunaagiza mchele, tunaagiza wheat, edible oil. Many of the things we can actually grow in Kenya. So I took the position and I committed to the people of Kenya that we were going to sort out agriculture. And it was important for us to sort out agriculture because our economy substantially depended on agriculture. So what did we do in the agricultural space, because we were farmers? Number 1, we registered farmers because it was necessary for us to have a database so that we can make decisions based on correct information. We registered all our farmers. Now we have a database in Kiamis. We know how many tea farmers are there. Every tea farmer, we know their acreage, how many coffee farmers are there, and their acreage, how many farmers are there doing sugarcane and wheat and maize and on and on and on. Today, I can confidently tell you we have a database on all our farmers, and we can make decisions on the basis of correct information. That was our first assignment. Because all this time, we didn't have a database of information. Number two, I told you we were going to change from subsidizing consumption to subsidizing production. When I came into office, we had a bill of 8 billion shillings ya kusubsidize unga. We were paying 14 billion shillings every month to subsidize fuel. And it was not sustainable. And we were going to go into a ditch. Instead of subsidizing unga, mnakumbuka, si nyinyi ni wa Kenya? So mnakumbuka kulikuwa na watu wamevaa sufuria hapa kwa street. Wameweka sufuria kwa kichwa, wanasema mambo ya unga. Unga ilikuwa 240 per 2 kilogram bag. Na ilikuwa before I was elected. Sasa nilikuwa nashangaa, sasa nyinyi mnanifanyia maandamano na unga nilikuta tayari iko 240. But we had to do something. You remember my first statement pale Kasarani on my inauguration. I said we are going to start bringing down the cost of fertilizer. And I remember clearly saying we are going to start with KTDA. Mnanielewa? Because the reasoning is, if you want to promote production, if you want to deal with the cost of basic food items including unga, you don't go and subsidize the shop or the merchant. You go look for the farmer. Kwa sababu unga haitoki kwa duka. Unga inatoka kwa mahindi, mahindi inatoka kwa mkulima. So ukitaka kusuluhisha shida ya njaa, tafuta mkulima. Mnanielewa? So that is the direction we went. We subsidized seeds. I was having a conversation with my waziri here. We still owe money to Kenya Seed because they are subsidizing our production of seeds. We have subsidized fertilizer. You all know as farmers, fertilizer was being sold for anywhere between 5,000 to 7,000. We have now stabilized that price. We brought it down to 3,500. We have now brought it down to 2,500. I must commend KTDA because they have been faithful. You know I owe them some money, but I'm going to sort it out. Chairman hapo Kirundi amesema kuna pesa kidogo kidogo, tutafanya mahesabu. Bora tumesauta out wakulima kwanza waendelee na kilimo, mimi na nyinyi tutafanya hesabu. So number 3, the third thing we had to do kwa hii sekta ya kilimo ni kufukuza wakora, cartel, brokers. Walikuwa wamejazana everywhere. Kwa kahawa tulikuwa na cartel ajabu. Mtu mmoja ako na leseni, yeye ni farmer, ako na leseni ya brokerage, ako na leseni ya mila, na yeye ndiye ananunua kahawa hapa Nairobi Coffee Exchange. Mtu mmoja. So anahangaisha wale watu wengine hapa katikati. When it is convenient, he is a farmer. When it is convenient, he is a broker. We have changed the licensing regime. Now you can only have one license, so that we streamline that space. Pale kwa sukari, mnajua what was happening in the sugar. Kulikuwa na wajeuri huko wamejazana. Wao ndio wana decide tujui nani atafanya nini, nani atafanya nini. Watu wa kiburi mingi. Mpaka nikafika Kakamega nikawaangalia, nikawaambia mambo ni matatu, muamue. Ama hamkusikia niliwaambia mambo ni matatu. Mjue vile mtafanya. So we have gotten rid of cartels, brokers, and people who undermine the sweat of farmers. And number 4, we are now beginning to explore new markets. That's the commitment I made. I told you we were going to drive the agricultural sector, because I have been minister, using correct information. We're going to subsidize inputs. We're going to make sure that we get rid of brokers and all the other characters in between. And we are going to look for markets for our produce. Today, I can confidently tell you that we have registered 6.5 million farmers in our database. We have distributed 21 million bags of 50 kilogram of fertilizer, and we know how many to which farmer. Our productivity, sugarcane, in 2022, we produced 495,000 metric tons. In last year, that has gone up to 815 tons of sugar. Coffee was selling at 60 shillings. I know some of you may be coffee farmers as well. Today, coffee in Kenya is selling between 100 shillings and 140. Milk was selling between 32 and 35. Today, milk is selling between 45 and 50, and we are still tightening the screws around there. Tea. I want you to look at the numbers. Our total sales of tea in 2022 was 138 billion. Our total sales 2024 was 215 billion. So we are making progress. We are making progress. Sugarcane farmers are making more money. Coffee farmers are making more money. Dairy farmers are making more money. You guys are making more money, you just don't want to say. And we are going to make sure that going into the future, among the things we want to do so that we can expand this sector better is to make sure that we do more processing, more value addition, and create more markets. And also to make sure that our whole chain of production is much more efficient. And that is the reason why we have carried out specific interventions in the tea sector. But before I go there, I just wanted to give you an idea of what we are doing in the general space around agriculture. You heard me. I've already given instructions to Waziri here, because dairy is important to us. Already, we have doubled our exports of dairy products from about 4 billion shillings to about 9.8 billion shillings last year. But we need to do more around the space of milk, because we have a big market outside there. Today, I can tell you, because we have intervened in production, even the dairy farmers are benefiting from fertilizer subsidy. We are seeing more silage. We are seeing better returns from our dairy sector. And that is why we decided that because we want to do more milk, we have now reduced the price of sex semen from 8,000 shillings per dose to 1,400 shillings per dose. And Waziri is beginning to see at the mechanics of how we are going to do that. I have also to tell you something about health, because you're Kenyans and we live in this same country. The Constitution says health is a constitutional right of every citizen. It is not a privilege for those who can afford. And that is why we committed that we were going to change the delivery of health in Kenya. For a very long time, health was left to the designs of everybody. So what did we do? And for your information, universal health was in the NAC manifesto. Ngilu aling'ang'ana nayo ikashindikana. Tukakuwa nayo kwa Grand Coalition Manifesto. Anyang' Nyong'o akang'ang'ana nayo ikashindikana. Part of the big four yetu ya Jubilee, universal health was one of them. Tukapatia waziri mmoja anaitwa Sicily Kariuki akang'ang'ana nayo. Tukafanya pilot Kisumu, Machakos, Isiolo na Nyeri, mpaka ikatangazwa rasmi kwamba imefeli. Mnanielewa? Kwa hii uchaguzi ambaye ilipita, universal health ilikuwa manifesto ya Azimio na ilikuwa kwa manifesto ya Kenya Kwanza. It has been in our manifestos for the last 30 years almost. But I say this time round we must deliver on this thing. Na mimi nataka niwashukuru hao wabunge. Tulipeleka sheria bunge because we had to change the law. Ile tulikuwa tunajaribu, we were trying to do, cut and paste. But this time round we decided to do the law. Tukatengenesha sheria ine to replace the NHIF Act. We have a final one that is going on in Parliament now. And we have changed completely the delivery of health in Kenya. Today, I can confidently tell you that from 7 million people who are registered in NHIF, we have close to 27 million people today registered in SHA. Mnanielewa? We have changed the financing structure. Ile ya NHIF ilikuwa na ubaguzi. It is only when you have a job, when you have a pay slip, that you can be registered or when you can afford. But we have said under SHA, every Kenyan must be registered because health is a right, constitutional right of every Kenyan. And we have gone a step further. We have appropriated 21 billion shillings to make sure that every citizen who goes to hospital, kwa health center, kwa dispensary, kwa level 4, pale kwa sub-county, watatibiwa, watapatiwa dawa, hata kama ni sindano kudungwa, na aende nyumbani bila ya kuitishwa pesa yoyote. Mnanisikia? That is the position as I talk to you today. Na tumekubaliana na counties, kwa sababu bado kuna counties hospitali zinacharge wananchi. It is criminal for anybody to charge citizens for a service already paid for by the government of Kenya. So, and I want KTDA, because you have members who are farmers. We need you to work with us.